Available now on ITV Player, ready when you are. Loose Women. Effortlessly stylish. Sponsored by Schwarzkopf Colour Mask.
Welcome back to Friday's Loose Women. Now, most of us had never heard of the term conscious uncoupling until Gwyneth Paltrow used it last week to describe her separation from husband Chris Martin. But apparently, it's not a made-up term. It is, in fact, a legitimate way to describe a happy divorce. Now, most would say that such a thing doesn't exist, but not our next guest, who is a conscious uncoupling guru. Please welcome Andrew Wallas. Andrew, why do you laugh when we say that?
Well, I've only been a conscious uncoupling guru in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, okay. But it is a term that you've used
It is a term
before.
I'm familiar with.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are working with this and have been for a while,
okay.
but this is the latest kind of term and everyone's talking about it now.
What does it mean? And can you have such a thing as a happy divorce?
I think you can, yes. But I think there's always a heartbreak with separation or divorce, however you want to put a gloss on it, because it's pain, you know, and if there's children involved, it's difficult. But I think you can make it amicable and you can make it much happier than the acrimonious divorces that we see all around us.
How? Yes.
Well,
Such a little word and yet so powerful.
I work with 5 basic principles. The first and the most important is don't blame the other. You know, we all get into blaming our
what
partners.
if the other's to blame?
They're not. They never are.
Andrew, can I just ask you,
Yeah.
did you cheat on your wife?
No.
Did she cheat on you?
No.
So you have had the best divorce ever,
yeah.
agreed?
Well,
what
no,
do you do? How would you advise if someone had been cheating and taking the money and in 1 in 4 relationships that we covered last week of being abusive emotionally, physically, how do you happily divorce that situation?
Come on, Miley.
There's a reason your occupation is only 2 weeks old, because it's not an occupation. It's Looney Tunes, my friend. There's a lot of women.
Who is it you've got it in for?
No. I think what's happened is this is not, contrary to belief, a panel of misogyny and pre or post-menopausal rantings.
Yeah.
What this is women and men have been very, very badly treated for a long time. And when someone comes along and says, let me divorce you happily, forget the cheating, don't blame anybody, and forget the money going, and don't blame anyone, and the beatings and the abuse, I'm going to make this happy for you. And those little people running around, they're going to love it too.
Yeah. No,
I don't know how you're going to wave that wand, but knock yourself out.
I think the Hollywood version of it does put a bit of a positive gloss on it. But the point is, blaming someone else never works. You can blame someone else for 3 minutes or 3 days or 3 weeks or 30 years. Some people do, but you keep yourself stuck. The moment you blame someone else for anything, you just keep yourself stuck in a blame game.
Andrew,
so the second principle,
lovely words. That's lovely words. There are women getting their faces smashed up against doors right now.
Absolutely
There's blame
right.
there.
Absolutely no.
you
Every
have to.
dynamic in a relationship is co-created. There is.
I can't agree with that at all.
Well,
I can't agree with that. Yeah, no,
I'm
really... Sorry, I really... I mean, everything that Mylene is describing, I've been through, and there is no way... I'm not... There's forgiveness, but there's no way that I can say, you know, that I can't blame you, because in my relationships, I do blame them for breaking up, because if those things hadn't happened, we'd still be together. How do you do that?
Statistically, all the research shows whatever the dynamic in this relationship, if we come out of that relationship, we create it again with the next person, then we create it again with the next person. So there has to be some...
No, because every person isn't that way inclined. Not every person cheats. Not every person...
But the person who's mistreated will find someone else to mistreat them. Then they'll find someone else to mistreat them.
No.
That is the pattern. We all do it in one form or another.
It might be a pattern, but this passive aggressiveness is almost verging on serial killer again. There are women out there, through no fault of their own, they might be in a situation financially that they can't help themselves. They might find themselves with somebody who can take advantage or make them feel in a bad way, or you don't know what the circumstances are for every relationship. You can't just use this conscious coupling to blanket cover every divorce. There are some women and men there are a lot of people in very, very turbulent relationships that when you turn around and say, you kind of did this to yourself, my friend, you are being extremely unrealistic to what's going on in the modern world.
Can I just just come in here? In your I hear what all of you are saying, but in your defence, Andrew, I hear what you're saying in so much as many people, male and female, will go on to unconsciously find themselves in a similar relationship. It might not be to the extreme that maybe they've experienced before. So maybe there is a need to educate yourself so that you don't repeat patterns. It might not necessarily mean that you separate happily in the way that we know that word, but if you can separate and be at peace knowing that you put that to bed and you're going to move forward and not make the same mistakes again. Is that what you're talking about?
We have to deal with our past and the thing that's creating the pattern. I mean, most of my work is involved with couples. I work with my wife, Anna, and we do conscious coupling, which is trying to help couples stay together. And the only way to do that is for both people in the relationship, whether it's a man, a woman, two men, two women, is to take responsibility for the dynamic they're creating. If you don't do that, you'll just keep recreating it with different people. It's really simple.
And you both have to want it to work as well.
Both people have to want, but they have to look at their part in creating whatever the dynamic is, whether it's passive-aggressive. I mean, passive-aggressive is another way of beating people up. It's just as violent.
It is,
So you're not punching someone's face, but it's incredibly violent, and energetically it causes a great deal of harm. So you've got to look at the dynamic, and both people, if you're in a relationship together, I know there's social issues, financial issues, economic issues, but both people are staying there and both people are creating it every day.
Okay.
You know, I think this blaming thing is very important. I think that's, you know, being... I think the only one who's still currently married here.
Hang in there,
I'm hanging in. Nearly 25 years, I'm hanging in. But, you know, the blaming thing is a big thing in a marriage. And I think a lot of... I mean, I totally see what you're saying. And I think this is not going to work for certain situations. But I guess in some marriages where there isn't that dynamic that's so extreme, where couples are just not getting on and they may just not be happy, then I would say something like this works. But I have a question for you. Because if it works, that you can go and you say, right, we're going to find a way that you're going to emotionally connect, you're going to have intimacy, you're going to be so good to you that you know that you can divorce nicely. Surely if you get to that stage, you may as well just stay married.
Exactly. Well, when we work with couples, we always try to support the relationship staying together. The reason being that when you come out of a relationship, if you're lucky enough, you'll meet someone else, and in a couple of years' time, you'll get back to exactly the same point that you were at when you left that relationship. So it's easier to work through the issue in that relationship there, but most people don't want to do that. And I'm not advocating conscious uncoupling for every couple, but I work with couples where there's been infidelity, and they work through it. It's possible to work through anything if both people want it.
If you're both on the same page. Very quickly, because we've only got time for a literally one-word answer. Do you think you could have saved Gwyneth and Chris's marriage?
Definitely.
OK. Andrew Wallas, everyone. Thank you.
Give them my number.
OK. All right, then. It's competition time again. Take a look at this to see how you could be in the money.
Here at